So, with the hype of the amazing digital circus, I figured I'd do my own little talk about it. So, what is the amazing digital circus? It's indie animation made by a company named Glitch. So, it involves a young woman who got trapped in a virtual world. It's very similar to an anime called Sword Art Online. So, this woman, whose name is unknown at first, she goes by the name Pomni, meets five other characters who are also trapped. These five characters include Ragatha, Jax, Gangle, Zubul, and Kinger. So when you're trapped in a circus, everyone has like a different avatar. So Pomni is a jester, Ragatha is Ragdoll, hence her name. Jax is a bunny, I guess Jack Rabbit. Zubul is I don't know what Zubul is. It's like this. It looks like a Picasso painting. Gangle is ribbons with a comedy and tragedy mask, and Kinger is a chess piece. So that's a name. And then you have Kane, who is the ringleader of the circus. He's responsible for entertaining everyone and sending them on amazing quests. And the show did start off at first with like a adventure vibe, but even from the beginning, a big part of the show was basically kind of delve into mental health in a way. So when you do shows like this, it's always risky because when people watch shows, they don't want what they call a therapy session. They want these characters to like develop, and there's nothing wrong with seeing like mental health tackled and seeing characters go through things. How many like people enjoy Spider-Man because they like the mentality of what Peter goes through when he's himself and ends up being a superhero, or they like seeing Batman because of his own thing with the mentalities and whatnot. So, or even Naruto talks about this a little, especially when it comes to Sasuke. So with the digital circus, they do kind of delve into like these therapy session type things with each character explaining not just how they got into the circus, but also why they're the way they are. Like with Ragatha, she comes across at first as this character who's all about being positive. So like everything is gonna be all right. She's the type of person who say, "Oh, everything's fine, everything's fine." When you're constantly telling someone everything's fine, even when it's not fine, it's eventually gonna wear out because they're gonna see right through you and they don't know if they can trust you. At some point, you have to be emotionally honest, and Ragatha struggled with being emotionally honest. She did not want to acknowledge that there was a bad situation. And you know what? There was a time where people in the circus were genuinely happy, so that's probably what Ragatha was clinging to. Knowing that you can be genuinely happy in the circus, even if it seems like a hopeless situation. But she did not convey it well, and as the show goes on, you get a little more ideas of why she's like that. Because as Ragatha develops, you see that she's had her own issues at home. She felt like she needed to be the proper girl, and then by the end, she's like more emotionally honest, so to speak. Like she's willing to admit when something upsets her. She's willing to admit when something bothers her. The and it's ironic because when she tries to befriend Pomni at first, Pomni's a little put off by. At first, Pomni's a little put off by the whole super positive thing. Then she tries to give Ragatha a chance, but then she hears other characters say, "Yeah, she's too nice." Like not in a mean way. It's more like they love her. They see her as a friend, but they know that she just says these things. So that becomes a problem in its own way. So Ragath, but as Pomni and Ragatha, they thankfully worked out something out because Pomni encouraged Ragatha to just be herself, and that's what people need to do. You can't go through life pretending that everything's all right. You got to be willing to acknowledge when something's bad. You have to be willing to acknowledge when something isn't perfect, and if you can't acknowledge that, you're just gonna live a sad life. So there's a lesson with Ragatha, and I feel like a lot of people hate that lesson because I know that Ragatha's really hated, and it could be because people don't want to acknowledge that. They don't want to acknowledge their faults, that they can't control everything, that not everything's going to be okay. Well, sorry to tell you people, but your life's not going to be perfect. You're never going to have a perfect life, and that's okay, because that's what life is meant to be. So then you have someone like Jax. And boy, is there a lot to rap with that guy. So at first you see him, he comes off as the goofball type character who's kind of a bully. Um, in the second episode, he's a little unhinged to the point where when he's doing the adventure, he really wants to get violent. Like that's his way of making the best out of the situation. He's stuck here, so he might as well have fun, pretty much. And there was a time that shows that he generally did have fun because he met two people named Ribbon and Kaufmo, and he was generally happy in the circus. So I think at first he hated it because he was stuck somewhere. And that happens to all the characters. They all get stuck somewhere, they don't know what's going on, and they hate it. So Jax, he still made the best of the situation in his own way, but his issue is this: he's a jerk. So halfway through the show, Pomni did express an interest in him because she saw like he was more than a jerk. He had his own issues. The moment he slipped a little emotionally, and she heard that he doesn't really have any friends, she felt bad for him. She tried to be his friend. The thing is, Jax just pushes people away, and a lot of that is just him being a tough guy because he doesn't know how to accept that somebody cares about him, or he's like he's like a self-fulfilling prophecy in that he doesn't think he can be loved, so he acts like a jerk to make sure people don't love him. Now, you could feel bad for Jax as he went through that, because he has a pretty tragic backstory in his own right, like especially at home. I still say Jax is one of the worst characters because he is a straight up bully. Like Ribbon and Capo, they try to get close to him, and the moment he opens up a little bit to Ribbit, he not only backpedals, he pushes her away emotionally to the point where he shuns her, and then there's something called abstraction. So when you abstract, you basically give up on life. So it has a really deep meaning. So, but Ribbit, she just gave up on life because Jax pushed her away. So, and then her friend Kaufmo, who was also friends with Jax, got pushed away by Jax as well because Jax didn't want anything to do with Kaufmo, and Kaufmo pretty much abstracted because he got tired of being in the circus. His best friend abstracted. His other good friend turned into a jerk. Kaufmo just wants to leave. He can't leave. He's stuck there and he gives up. So, in the digital circus, abstracting means you just give up. We've seen this happen with Kinger's group because when Kinger first entered the circus, he came with his wife Queenie and a bunch of other people, and they all abstracted. So Kinger, who's been in the circus the longest time, somehow managed to survive in a way. He's like mentally strong, even though he comes across as senile. Perhaps him being senile is what saved him because he doesn't think about it much. He's only lucid in the dark, but even when he's lucid, he's not depressed. He's happy. He still has the people in the circus, especially Pomni and Ragatha, who he became a father figure to. So, I would say, like with Jax, he's a pain in the ass. So, he was close with Ragatha at one point. They just started just mistreating her out of nowhere and basically forcing her to keep quiet about certain things. When it comes to Gangle, he relentlessly bullies her because Gangle is very sensitive, and thus she's an easy target for Jax. So then you have Zooble. Now with Zooble, Jax messes with her, but she fights back at least. So she doesn't take Jax's insults lying down. And Zooble at least became like this good friend to Gangle. So that was Zooble and Gangle's thing. Like, they're not main characters like the others. Or at least, I don't know how else to put it. They have like their own time in the spotlight, but Zooble and Gangle just do their own things, while it's just mostly Pomni interacting with Jax, Ragatha, and Kinger in some way. So, it's like a complex thing. Jax has his issues, and as such, he mistreats people. And let me just put it like this. Gangle was so afraid of Jax once that she didn't want to go near him. Like, that's how bad the bullying was. She was afraid of him. And if you're gonna make somebody afraid of you, that kind of makes you even less sympathetic, considering all the other things Jax did. It's a miracle that Pomni wanted to be his friend. Like, I understand that even the worst people probably need a friend. Jax brought a lot of this on himself, and a lot of people want to defend Jax, so they feel bad for him. You can feel bad for a character while acknowledging that they're a jerk. You can feel bad for antagonists, but never ignore the fact that they've done horrible things. So Jax, he's done horrible things in the circus. So the whole thing here is the show does a good job of like bringing certain aspects to light, and it's still a decent show in its own right. I will say the show probably wasn't properly paced. It focused too much on certain things. They probably could have used a few I want to say filler episodes. I know a lot of people don't see the point of the filler episodes, but it just would have been nice to see these characters just hanging out without them, without eventually delving into this therapy session. Just let them goof around a bit. Like having one episode where they're just goofing around, because we could have had that with the whole beach episode thing, and then that still turned into like this big mystery. So hard to say, but I don't know if we'll get more Digital Circus or not. It sounds like they're done with this season. Maybe one more episode at least, or just like a little spin-off. Beyond that, it was still a decent show. But that's all I have to say. I'm out.